I'm gonna fucking throw up. All right.
Today on Inside the Game, Milwaukee's Kevin Boyd joins us after another dominant Horizon League run. Plus, breaking news, PMG will host the NISA Pro Cup drawing show on October 3rd, and we announce our partnership with Detroit Mercy and the Titans. All of that and more coming up right now.
Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Good morning and welcome back into Inside the Game here on this Tuesday, September the 23rd. I'm Nathan. I'm not Nathan. I'm Jonathan. That's Nathan. It is Tuesday.
Nice.
Oh, boy. Well, welcome back, Mr. Wangler.
Thank you, boys. Should be a great day. A lot of good stuff to talk about. You were talking about briefly there the partnership with Detroit Mercy, which I think is a really cool opportunity. That's a very historic university UDM out in Detroit. It's actually, oddly enough, I was driving in to see the Tigers' last home game, to watch the cataclysmic collapse live and in person and it didn't disappoint. But on the way in, we obviously passed by the highway where you get off to go to UDM, and I've been there a few different times. The campus itself is beautiful. I know it's all sectioned off and everything, but it's a cool place to be. But yeah, the Tigers are rough, boys. It's not a good situation.
They ain't no Michigan Whitecaps, that's for sure.
Well, I think the thing to be said. That was Ryan Glinsky, by the way, our producer here as well. And here's I think the thing that's important here. I don't think you can have both happen in the same season. I just don't think stars would ever align to have your affiliate team win the whole thing and then the big league team win the whole. I just don't think has that ever happened before?
Well, here's the thing. So you have Lakeland that won a title. They're the
Yep.
low A team. West Michigan just won a title. Erie is one game away from winning their 4th straight title in Double A. So, I mean, I don't know. It could happen.
I'm just saying, okay, so
that
clearly
would be
all the
interesting to-
affiliates
yeah.
can do it. I just don't think it can. Again, I just don't think you all 4, right? So I just
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
my
No. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it might. I don't know. I gotta see what we're doing.
It's
here,
one of those
but
things
yeah.
we're gonna have to do some verification. I'm just curious in the history
We
of Major League
sacrificed the
Baseball
World
has that ever happened before. I'd be curious.
I don't know. That's our trivia.
We have a great show lined up for you this morning. Yesterday we were joined here on the show. Wake Forest women's head soccer coach and Tony DeLuce was here talking about their season. We'll continue our coverage of women's college soccer this morning as Milwaukee Panthers head coach on the women's side, Kevin Boyd, will join us here in just a few minutes. We've got a star-studded lineup this week of guests. Again, there's a look there. He's in his 3rd year, by the way, at Milwaukee. He's done a fantastic job. But look at this. Sean Burke tomorrow, Buffalo women's soccer, Ball State women's soccer. Andy Stutz will be with us here on Thursday. Gareth Elliott from the University of Rhode Island, men's soccer, will be with us here on Friday. And me and Ryan were just talking about this before we got on the air, but he's like, I'm not going to reach out to any more schools here for this week because we have way too many interviews lined up. We have, I think, with just our pre-recorded, we have like 3 more pre-recorded interviews this week that we're doing, and then we already have like next week almost booked as well. So,
Yeah, I'm not sending any more emails out. We got like the next 4 weeks, and I already know how hectic the week of October 11th will be. So, yeah, we gotta calm down a little bit. We love it. Just don't get me wrong. We do love every coach being on. We love their stories, their different programs, but I'm going to take a little hiatus from sending out emails until we get everything a little calmed down. It gets a little bit relaxed a little bit more. But no, we absolutely love the different perspectives from all different coaches and programs.
There's too many people in this party. We got to have someone stand out front and ask if they know somebody. Yeah, it's getting too crowded in here. No, I'm kidding. It's a great opportunity to talk to everybody. I mean, I like it. I love it. And especially the Horizon League, too, because obviously that one hits close to home. So it's always good to get their perspective. So I'm looking forward to the talk, Kev.
we are as well. When we come back here from our first break, we'll be joined here by Kevin Boyd, the Milwaukee women's head soccer coach. And don't go anywhere. 164 continues.
The Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com.
Welcome back in here to Inside the Game here on this Tuesday morning, September the 23rd. I'm Jonathan Turner. That's Nathan Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer here once again this morning. And, before we welcome Kevin in, the Horizon League is a very, very good league. It's something that when we talk about the mid-major conferences around this country, you've got the MAC, you've got the Missouri Valley, right? You've got a number of conferences that are like that. And trying to stay competitive, I would say, especially when it comes to soccer. Last year, the men's side, I think at one point, they were even talking about this, is that like it came down almost like the last day of competition before they actually figured out the entire playoffs. And they were like 2 or 3 points separating most of those teams. You can say that to be obviously on the women's side as well. These conferences are very challenging. And to win it 3 straight years in a row, right? And to make it to the NCAA tournament, right? 3 straight years in a row. That in itself is remarkable. And we want to welcome in at this time Kevin Boyd, who's in his 4th season at Milwaukee and the Panthers. And Kevin, welcome into the broadcast. Up in there. Yep. And no, it's like it's the cell phone, right?
It happens every time, Kevin. Don't you worry.
You are not the first. You're not the first.
Every coach goes through it. Just run through it real quick.
Yeah. So here's what we're gonna have you do, Kevin. We're gonna have you back out of the VMix system. Are you on your cell phone? No. Okay. Your cell phone right now is trying to connect to your computer. That's typically what we found in the last couple of days, is that the cell phone has been the culprit in all of this. You can hear us, right? You can hear me. Yep. So I'm going to have you back out of our system. So the system, the link you came into, you're going to back out of that. And when you go back out, there's a link at the very top of the page that says click here for advanced settings. Click on that link as you enter in, and that will allow you to change your microphone, which will in turn become this. So we'll have you step out. We'll try this again. Nate and I will get back on screen here. We'll continue to talk about how great you are.
It happens every time. It's all good.
No, it is. And hey,
Yeah.
again, we talk about this as the kind of like the live environment. And here's the other thing too, I think is important. Every coach, Nate, that we send this to gets an email, the instructions on how this works. The problem is they're coming in a lot of times because they're coaching, right? They're out in the field, maybe they're running a training session. And so all those things tend to they might arrive right on time. And so we don't have a chance to check the levels with them. And that was, so if they were here a little earlier, we could check it and then we bring them in, it'd be fine. But
circling back on what you were talking about with the Horizon League, I think there's some conferences where you're going to get maybe a handful of teams that are just kind of better than the rest of the pack. I look at different conferences and different sports. We think about obviously what's the one we all know. Football. Like there are a handful at the top that you could say, and it's getting better. Obviously with the likes of Indiana and what they've been doing, to where you can look at the top teams and go, hey, they kind of run the table. In the Horizon League, sometimes you'll have a team or two that are consistently in that spot, but outside of that, you're dealing with a lot of unknown. You're dealing with a group that things might not get sorted out until the very last days. So I think that's what makes the conference exciting. That's why I say it hits close to home, because obviously we have a front row seat to that.
Well, without further ado, we do have Kevin now. There he is.
Am I in this time?
You
Can you
are,
hear me?
yes.
Hey, success.
So first off, Kevin, welcome to Inside the Game here on the National Soccer Network.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we have a blast having coaches on, and we love to pick your brain about the season, about what it's like to coach in the Horizon League, and the first one I want to dive into right away. In the open, kind of introing you into our broadcast, we talked about how the challenge of staying atop, right? And you've been able to do that 3 years in a row, obviously in your fourth season. How are you able to do that in an environment where being consistent is probably one of the most difficult things you can do?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, actually. And that was a challenge we faced really starting that second year for me, was how to manage exactly that. We just, we stay true to our values. We stay true to our training environment. We try and hold a really high standard at our trainings. So if a training isn't hitting where it needs to, I will stop the team and bring them in and say, this isn't meeting our standards. And if we can't consistently train the way we need to, we can't consistently play the way we need to. So the biggest focus is that. And then, we never look ahead. We are one game at a time. So right now we're all about Thursday's game, and that's the only thing that matters to us.
No, and that's obviously great. And most coaches we talk to kind of share that same sentiment, right? I think we oftentimes, as a society, as a culture, we're always looking ahead, right? Oh, we're going to win the championship, we're going to win the tournament, but really you have to worry about that next game because you couldn't get there if you didn't win the next game anyways, right? So, the Horizon League just got underway, right? It just got underway here this last week. I know a lot of teams, they go into these environments in the preseason, and they're trying to play the toughest teams. They play a lot of like Big Ten, ACC, right? You try to play these tougher schools to get you ready for what you're about to go through in your Horizon League. And so your record 5-4-1 is obviously based on the fact that you scheduled a really tough schedule going into your preseason. How does that prepare your team for this long Horizon League run?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. We kind of called that stretch that we went through the gauntlet, where we played quite a few good teams in a row. I mean, where were we? We were at Wisconsin, we were at Michigan State, we hosted Northwestern, we were at North Carolina, and we were at Minnesota, right? So a pretty tough stretch going through that. And the concern from a coach is you don't want to lose your team's mentality going through it. If you don't find success, right, how is your team going to respond to that? Do you lose them? So trying to manage those pieces. But I feel like, one, if you want to be able to beat them come playoff times, you better go play some of them, right, and get an idea of what that level's like. Two, every game we play is a learning experience. If we can get better playing against those teams, and if we can get more competitive, and we're just going to be better in the long run. And then three, and this is really the critical part, if we can pull a win or two going through that gives us a top 50 win. And when you start talking RPI and trying to get in that large or trying to get a seed or something like that in the tournament, you need to have a top 50 win. So we've managed to survive it, and we got a top 50 win in the win over Minnesota, and we got a tie over Northwestern. So we've got a couple of results to go with that gauntlet.
And the other part of that is obviously, playing against the likes of North Carolina and Michigan State, who was ranked 20th at the time. Obviously, those games did not go as well, especially the MSU game. But what were your biggest takeaways? Because yeah, not pretty, but sometimes you need those games because they kind of launch you in the right direction, because you don't want to feel that same thing again. So that can kind of tend to bring players and whatever together. What were your biggest takeaways from maybe those games, the ones that got away from you? Especially the MSU game.
It's really just that game. I don't know if we got Murphy's Law or what happened to us on that one, but the game before, the Thursday before, we had a game and we took a red card to our goalkeeper 20 minutes in. And the result of that is we got scored on in the situation, and then we played for 70 minutes down a player trying to score a goal. And we did incredibly well. I mean, we ended up losing. We didn't get the goal, but I was very proud of the character our team had in that 70 minutes, the amount of work we put in. The problem is we ran our legs off. So then 3 days later, we're at Michigan State. And the day before, the training wasn't good. I was talking about our standards. It was not up to our standard, and I wasn't happy with the training. And that just carried into the game the next day. I think it was 2-0 at half, so it wasn't out of control, but we weren't good. And then the second half, I mean, when you talk about wheels falling off, they fell off, and then the cart fell over, and everything you can imagine went wrong. I mean, there was things happening in that game that, you know, you see once every 10 years maybe, and they were happening multiple times. I mean, I don't think I've seen one of my own players kick a ball into her teammate and have it bounce off and go in our own goal for a goal. I don't know if I've seen that in 20 years, and it happened twice, right? And that was the day we're having. And then Michigan State, you know, it's their senior day, and they're having a great time, and you know, he's subbing players in that I couldn't get to come on visits with us, and they're super excited and scoring the 8th goal. And, you know, and of course, when it got to 6 or so, I started subbing, you know, our starters off, and they were already exhausted. So I was like 6, you know, 8.
Yeah.
I didn't expect 9, but, you know, at the end of the day, a loss is a loss, even though that's a painful one.
Well, and going into Horizon League play, obviously there are big expectations for you guys with what you've done over the last 3 years, and there should be. And despite that, you know, we talked about how competitive the conference can be, but you guys have been on a roll in the conference, so looking to continue that. But when you look around the remaining parts of the Horizon League and everybody else that's in that mix, who do you think will give you the biggest test this season?
Oh, I think Northern Kentucky is really a formidable team this season. You know, I knew that coming into the season. We've played them the last couple of years in the final, so I would say they're the team out there that is a challenge. And then Wright State's off to a pretty good start to the Horizon League, so they're somebody to be concerned with. And you know, we figured Detroit Mercy coming in, and there's a few of them. And the thing is about this conference is the home and away factor is massive because of our distances to travel. So whenever you're having to travel, it's going to be highly difficult. And I think everybody faces that.
You know, we talked about this here earlier about, you know, the really the disparity between these teams and how close they really are. Right, you mentioned Detroit Mercy. If we looked at last year's Horizon League standings, I mean, obviously you were top, but 6 points below you was Northern Kentucky, but 2 points separated Detroit Mercy from Northern Kentucky, right? And then there's a bit of a drop-off. Robert Morris is obviously, and then IU Indy. And so the middle of that table tended to be a little less as far as what the rest of the table was. But that's not a common thing we've seen over the years in the Horizon League. Typically, again, you're seeing teams very, very close to one another towards the end of the season. And you mentioned the home and away, right? Where, like, for example, you're coming to Detroit here in October to take on Detroit Mercy, and then that same weekend you're taking on Oakland. That's a tough road to travel into here in Michigan, and you were just talking about that.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and you know, I haven't even played since I've been here. We haven't played at Detroit yet, so that tells you that we've had a rather convoluted schedule. In the Horizon League next year, when we get 12 teams, it balances out finally. But so this will be my first trip to Detroit, but I know that, or to Detroit Mercy, but I know that they have a turf field. I've heard it's very difficult to play on. Now, when you go up to Oakland, you don't know if they're going to put the game on turf. You don't know if they're going to have it on grass. I don't know what decides it for them. Probably whatever competitive advantage they think they can get. But so now you're potentially on an entirely different surface. Usually when you're there, the weather isn't cooperating. So there's those type of challenges. I mean, even the trip we just went on, Robert Morris and Youngstown State, this was our third time to Youngstown State in the last 4 years, and the first time we came away with a win. The other 2 times were both ties. Right? It tells you how tight that is. And people think, you know, they look at us and go, okay, well, Milwaukee usually wins this league. Well, they don't realize most of the games are 1-0 games or 2-1 games. I mean, they're incredibly close.
No, and it's 100% the case. And something that when we look at when we talked about this yesterday with Wake Forest's head coach as well, about there are certain schools that are, and you even alluded to this, that are destinations, right? If you're a Division I athlete, you know, and you're like, my dream, you know, your dream might be to, especially on the women's side, North Carolina, Stanford, right? teams that have been historically national championship. I mean, you think about the dream, right? I don't know if a player is going, man, Milwaukee's where I want to go. And that's not to be like a knock on Milwaukee, but it's like, from a standpoint, I want to play Division I soccer. It's first, Stanford is first. And then, so do you look at Milwaukee as a destination school in the Horizon League, or is it like you're setting players up to go on to that, to the next chapter, right? Just to go to an MSU, to go to a Michigan, to go to, a Stanford or North Carolina?
Yeah, I do. I think we're a destination. We're not Stanford and we're not North Carolina. We don't have that either academic prestige that Stanford has or just the historical soccer prestige that North Carolina has. But those are rarities, those two. There's probably only 5 or 6 of those out there. And I put us in that next, you could say 50 destination schools. And why are we a destination school? We have a great school. We have an incredible city to live in. And then our team culture is unbelievable. I mean, to win, what have we won? I don't know, 24 conference titles in the last 26 or 27 years. And that is with 4 different coaches or 5 different coaches. So that is not coach based. That is culture based. That's about this program. So if you're a player out there, you want to go somewhere and get a good education and have success and play for trophies every year, we're a pretty good place to go. And then you look at what we're turning out. I mean, we turned out 2 pros this year. We turned out 2 pros the year before. We turned out a pro and a assistant coach who went pro as well, right? So 6 in 3 years have gone on to play pro. That's a pretty good, production on our end, right? So if players want to go on and go to the next level, right, and have a great experience in college, we're the place.
No, and again, from what I've seen from Milwaukee over the years, I absolutely agree with that statement. We asked that question because I think it's important because in the college landscape, especially on the women's side of the game, it is ultra competitive, right? And I because again, there's a lot of opportunity, but again, there's a lot of movement, right? And something we talk about with a lot of coaches is how to handle that, right? Because at least from our perspective of watching all these games and being a part of soccer the way we are, is that loyalty to a program. I don't know if it exists anymore. Right? Because of the transfer portal, because of the NIL, is loyalty still a thing? And how to keep players in 2025 is way different than keeping players in 2019, 2015, And so from a recruitment standpoint, when you're going out there and looking for that player, looking for that Milwaukee Panther, right? What is the characteristics that you're looking for that will make them want to be a part of your program for 4 years and not treat you as a way to go to another place, after a couple of years in the program?
Yeah, usually when you're going through it, you can kind of get an idea what type of character the player has and, what their movement's like. Telltale signs are, have they jumped clubs a lot? Right? If that's the case, then you know that they're probably not somebody that's going to stay loyal. We highly value the intrinsic piece that comes with a player, the heart, the drive that they have, the things that you just can't teach, right? Anybody can identify the soccer parts, but the inside, who they are, right? Those are always tougher to try and discover. And part of the way to find that out is talking to coaches that you trust, right? And they can lead you on into that direction. And then for us, once they come in, it's them joining our culture. It's them learning what our values are and hopefully buying into them. We've been fortunate. We have not turned over a lot of players. And, the only reason we turned over players this last year is because of this roster rule that went in. And that caused problems for us because we've typically had a bit of a bigger roster and we had to cut down numbers just to get to that. And I hated it. Our team hated it. The players that got pushed on hated it. Like it wasn't good for any of us. And that was the first time that's really happened to us. And in terms of players, coming in and then leaving us to go to greener pastures, that hasn't happened. And it hasn't happened mainly because what I said, we have such a good culture and it's a winning program and you can find success here. And they realize that when they're here.
And not just find success there, but find success at higher levels. And obviously you've shown that with developing some of the pros. You were talking about that element of your job as well. And, I think it's interesting because everybody gets into this, it gets into sports in general with, I think, the dream initially of going professional. I think that's why we all did it, and then some of us turn out to be 5'8" and, would rather speak into a microphone than actually play the sport because we're better at that.
You're
as it turns
5'7",
out.
Nate.
5'8" on a good day. Okay. But that's the biggest part about it too, is you give them the tools and the opportunity to continue playing at a higher level. What's the biggest differentiating factor between those who are able to make it pro and sustain a career at that level, and maybe those who have the tools but don't end up making it? As a coach in the game for as long as you have, what's the biggest differentiating factor to you?
I think it's the experience that they have when they get into it. Is it a positive entry experience or is it not? You know, there's a lot of times that they go professional and that first year is absolutely miserable for them. They don't get treated well. It's not a good program they've gone into, and they don't enjoy it. And they've got this major that they've just graduated and sitting to the side that they know that they can go pursue their career that they took their education on, and they end up stepping out to go into that because of that reason. So I think it's trying to find the right experience. I mean, even, you know, when I look at ours, you know, 4 of the 5 players that went pro never would have thought that they could have played pro. So when I first entered into the picture, this isn't something they were thinking about. You say, you know, everybody thinks about that. Not all of them do. And they weren't. They didn't think that they were pros. It was me going to them really and saying, hey, what are your thoughts on playing at the next level? Right. And starting to plug that on. And, you know, so then you start wondering, well, you know, what is it that propels them on? And I think from our program, I think when they get in our program, because our culture is good, because we do have success, they have fun and they enjoy it and they get better the entire time. So by the time that they finish their 4th year with us, they've developed quite a bit. They're usually an impact player on the field for us, and they're having fun and they don't want to be done. They're not ready to be done. It's just they're enjoying themselves. And that's the way it should be. Right? And I think that's the part when you start talking all these transfer portal stuff and everything that's going on nowadays with players trying to find greener pastures every chance they get. I think what they're missing out on is the college experience. To me is the greatest playing experience. Right? And why is that? It's because you're playing highly competitive games. Doesn't matter where you are, even what level you are. They're highly competitive with your team, against your rival, against your conference, against whoever you match up with. And you're doing it with what ends up being, you know, your best friends for life, right? I mean, your college teammates you stay in contact with your whole life, right? So you've got this incredibly close group of people playing incredibly competitive games. That's what makes it special. You know, when you go pro, it's different. You've got a married 32-year-old and you've got a 17-year-old who's just coming out after high school's ended and training with you, right? So you have this huge gap. You don't get the same team feel or connection or best friend element. You don't get any of that. You get the competitive games, but you don't get the other side. College has both, and that's what makes it special. And that's what, when people start popping from one school to the next, that's what they're missing.
No, and Kevin, I think the way that you've communicated, especially the part about the competitive landscape of soccer, especially at the college level, is perfect. And because I think, again, you know, the mom or dad out there right now and the player who are thinking about the next step in their career, right, which is, you know, hey, you're 14, 15 years old and you want to go play college soccer. You know, why are you choosing, or what's the path that you're choosing to go down? And more importantly, where are you going to try to anchor yourself, right? And I think that right now we're afraid to do that. I think a lot of players are afraid to put like an anchor down and kind of lock themselves into a place and try to be there for a period of time. You're seeing it in the club soccer environment where you see players who are like at one club team and then they go to another club team and they're not like, you know, a bit why, because it's better, or there's something over here, but it's not always better. Right. I mean, there's a reason why certain clubs are good and otherwise others are not. But I think that we've lost this ability, I think, from culturally in the game of soccer about staying someplace for a period of time and seeing it out, right, seeing it through. And that's, I think, kind of helped, I think, create this kind of melting pot, right, that we're seeing right now at the collegiate level. We ask a lot of questions on this show, but one of the most important questions we ask, Kevin, this is by far the toughest and most important question I'm going to ask you today. And we've asked every coach this that's been on our platform, is that when you go on those long road trips, like you're going to be out here in Detroit in October, you're going to travel to Detroit, you're going to travel to Rochester, it's going to be a longer weekend travel. So then you're going to go home and get back to Milwaukee. You get off that bus. Where do you go to grab that meal? Where are you going?
Well, so we just did this, right? And it wasn't a bus, it was vans that the coaches were driving. So let's be clear about that. I wish it was a bus, right? So we flew into O'Hare, right? And flying into O'Hare from Pittsburgh, we got delayed for an hour and something up in the air because of storms over O'Hare. And then we finally get in and we get stuck on the tarmac for a while. And they finally get us to the gate and realize they lined us up at the wrong line for the gate for the size of our plane. So they had to back us up and bring us back in. So ultimately, we're 2 hours late. We have to go get the vans. So now the coaches are off on an adventure trying to figure out where lot F is, right? Going by some train to find it and then pick up our team and head on. And we go to Portillo's. And this is the second time we've done that. We love Portillo's. We are Portillo's team, right? They've got something for everybody. I'm an Italian beef dipped kind of guy. I'll take that all day.
Portillo, that's a solid choice. That's probably the best one we've gotten on this show so far. So well done. Well done. Portillo's
I told you our team culture is good, right? I mean, they're a Texas Roadhouse Portillo's team. That's what they like.
You can't go wrong with Texas Roadhouse.
That's Chicago.
I mean, you know,
right?
yeah.
Hey, any
So
place you
Portillo's.
can eat peanuts and throw the shells on the floor, I'm in.
There's actually a Portillo's
Let's
here
go.
in Metro Detroit, and so now it's we get to experience that here in Michigan, which is great. So. But Kevin, man, we appreciate you stopping on by here this morning. Obviously, 5-4-1 right now. You're 2-0 in the Horizon League, and we obviously wish you much success. You guys this week go on and take on Purdue Fort Wayne as well as Northern Kentucky. So we wish you luck here the rest of the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me on. This is nice. I'm going to have to try and listen to you guys more often.
Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. Nonetheless,
that,
Kevin,
sir.
thank you very much. And again, have success the rest of the season.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
You're welcome. Welcome. That was Kevin Boyd, the women's head soccer coach of the Milwaukee Panthers. And, we've been doing this a lot, talking with coaches here over the last couple of weeks. And, the different personalities that we get to interact with each and every day. Right. And, when we ask that question, right, like, I feel like that question might have to be like the first question on the box. You know what I mean, Nate? I just because then you kind of open up the personality a little bit, right? You start to see kind of the thought process as to what kind of food they're going to go with. Maybe that should be our first question, Ryan. What do you think?
I think so. I think it could be the first question for sure.
We should ask that question, right? And then from there it just becomes easy,
Oh, that's great. Portillo's is a great selection, though, man. That's that good Chicago Italian cooking right there. And I know it's good because I know people from Chicago, and anytime they go anywhere else other than Chicago, it's always the first thing is like, well, the food's just not the same. Well, sorry, okay, we can't all have tremendous deep dish pizza in Portillo's because, I need a dog from there ASAP.
I'm going to be ordering that from
on
DoorDash today as a result of this whole thing. So today I will be getting Portillo's two Chicago-style hot dogs for lunch here.
Where's the one by you guys?
It's right down the road. It's literally on M59, right? It's like 3 miles from here. Yeah. So, but anyways, we have a great rest of your show coming your way here. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. We'll dive into what's going on here on October the 3rd and our announcement in regards to our taking over broadcasting of ESPN broadcast at Detroit Mercy and the Titans. We'll be back after this.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Welcome back here into number 164 of Inside the Game here. I'm Jonathan Turner. That's Nathan Wangler. Ryan Glinsky, our producer on this Tuesday morning. Just had a chance to interview Kevin Boyd, the head coach of the women's soccer program at Milwaukee and the Panthers. That interview in its entirety will be available as a separate video here after the show, and I'm sure we'll make some shorts as well, because Kevin had a lot of really great things to say here about what's going on there in Milwaukee and the Panthers. We had announced here a few weeks back that we were going to be the production and the destination for the NISA Pro Cup coming up here the week of October the 13th and ending in the final on Tuesday, October 21st. And last week during one of our production meetings, we were asked to cover the drawing. And so what's going to end up happening here on October the 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will do a live draw right here from our studios. We'll use a randomizer, Ryan, to pull that off. I think it's gonna be fun.
Not like the Champions League where they just take the ball and have a piece of paper out of it.
Well, we could totally do that, I guess. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, again, how we do it, I guess, isn't necessarily important. It's what we are going to be doing it, though.
It's like the lottery.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I mean,
Like the Powerball.
Next thing you know, it's going to be, it's rigged, the drawing's rigged. That's what's going to happen.
No.
Yeah,
No.
sounds maybe about
That's
right.
that's exciting opportunity. I'm excited to see what that all looks like. We've been talking to the people at NISA for a while now. Featured them on the podcast. It's awesome that you guys will get the chance to do that drawing. But there's a lot of good teams, a lot of good players. Obviously, we talked about the focus on development in that league. They call it pathway, right? The pathway to pro, but this is where it really all starts. So, kind of like, you and I kind of get to see some of these players as they're coming up and exactly where they're going to go beyond that point. But there's a lot of good squads involved in all that. And obviously, it's a long tournament, too. I mean, over the stretch of, 7 days, I think it is going to be in length. But, yeah, there's going to be a lot of good ball, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what matchups we will have around the corner here.
And obviously, that will be something that we do here on Friday, October the 3rd. We will do that official drawing here in our studios. And again, how we do that drawing,
Sorry, I forgot about that.
Will be determined here in the very near future. Whether we use a randomizer or we grab,
We get like a giant glass ball and we put envelopes in it. We were like roll it around. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Sure. I don't. The method for which we draw does not. I think we should go. What's that company like for the Oscars? They have like a counting firm that comes in when they went through the process, locked them in suitcases. Should we have that same process?
Oh yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. Yes, there you go. Yep. Yep.
That's what we should do. We should have an accounting firm do it for us. They arrive in suitcase. Matter of fact, we have a whole filming of the whole process of the briefcase arriving with a locked handcuffs and shows up here and they hand them to us, and we should have a whole process.
Oh, okay. That'd be fun.
We will not be taking any bribes for the drawing. I want to make that very clear. We will not be.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. It was also just announced here earlier this morning on NSN, as well as our Premier Media Group website, that we are taking over officially all broadcasting of all sporting and athletic events at Detroit Mercy and the Titans. This is another contract I have been working on for the better part of a year. And we are excited about this partnership. It allows us to obviously continue to elevate the games and the sports that are taking place here at the Division I level locally. But it allows us also to say that we are the exclusive Horizon League broadcast partner for the state of Michigan, because there's only 2 Horizon League teams, of which Oakland and Detroit. And so we are, in fact, that production company. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I remember last year when you had told me that you guys were taking over production at Oakland. I thought that was a big move. I thought that, initially, because I know that you had been doing work there for a long time, and this was something that was building slowly in the works. Obviously with you starting off the way that you did, doing games off an iPad and just building and building and building and doing more. And then an opportunity obviously opens up to do play-by-play, which ironically enough, both you and I applied for. I'm not bitter about it. But anyways, no, I'm kidding. But they obviously they ended up putting you in that spot, but you brought PMG along with it. So that was a cool part. Like you guys became the producers.
It's funny.
Obviously,
it's funny how he says that. I've been a play-by-play broadcaster at Oakland for almost 4 years now. So he seems a little bitter. I don't know. Does he seem bitter to you, Ryan? A little bit, just a smidge.
There could have been a little bit.
Undertone. There's an undertone to that, and it's not his microphone.
But
just
now you guys
right
are
over it. Yeah.
now you guys are podcast partners.
Now we're BFFs. Yeah. Now we're BFFs. Look at that. Friends forever.
You guys went to Columbus.
He ain't taking my play-by-play. It ain't happening.
You guys went to Columbus together. You guys are all two peas in a pod.
I have already said this probably 100 times, and probably terrible to say out loud and to the public, publicly. But I mean, we talk about this. We talk about this on this show. We've talked about it isn't always about the best, right? We could all argue that there's probably a broadcaster out there that's better than Joe Buck. There's probably a broadcaster.
He's really boring.
I'm saying this there again, but the reason why he's where he's at is because he's just. There's probably 10 reasons as to why it is. It's
probably his dad, but I mean, it's part of it.
But again, luck. Hard work, being at the right place at the right time. I mean, not saying no when others would say, maybe others would say no. All those things are factors in all this. And again, for me, my story at Oakland's I'm not saying it's a unique story because it probably isn't, but it led to Neil Rule, who's the director of broadcasting. He could not do a game due to his morning show at Oakland. And so I got a phone call from somebody who knew me. It was like a friend of a friend. And then they let me come in and become a sub broadcaster there for that game. I did that, and that led to other opportunities. And then, the rest is history. By no way did I have the qualifications to be in that role. I'm not going to argue that. Now I certainly do now, but didn't then, And again, it's not always about what you know; it's about who you know. Mm-hmm. And again. The great thing about this is that with these relationships is that it now allows the school will come to me and say, hey, John, who do you recommend? If I can't make a game, if Neil can't make a game, there's somebody else on that list that they have to call, right? You have to have 3, 4, 5, or 6 people who are down the line. And Nate, you had a chance this past year as an analyst to do a basketball game with me, right?
Yeah.
And we did that
fun.
game. And so, and actually you had another opportunity, I think, to even do a radio call with me. But I think, again, you just, because of timing, you just couldn't do it for the Horizon League men's basketball. But those opportunities are always there. And when we look at like who's on my short list, who I recommend, it's Ryan and then Nate. So
let's go. Got him.
No, I just kidding. But no, I mean it's the but like where you are right now with the Whitecaps, right? I mean, there was someone that was there before you. You were actually you were working in somewhere in like the broadcasting area, right? And then someone left, and then they tapped you, right? And so it's like, had you not had that gig. Had you not been in that room for however long, if they didn't know who you were, do you still get that opportunity? We could argue yes, but I mean, like, would you have been in the right spot? Probably not. I mean, because you weren't in that room.
Yeah. Sometimes you run into opportunities. I mean, that's the nature of the business. I always laugh at Dalton Shetler, who is the voice of Michigan State women's basketball, and I got a chance to stop by their broadcast last year and kind of listen and watch what they do. And now he's doing football on ESPN, or he's doing football on the radio. I believe he did some for Michigan State to begin the year against Western. But his story was great because he was actually just covering Michigan State athletics. He was actually working for regional radio sports down in northern, like Michiana area, kind of South Bend. And he was at an event that Tom Izzo just happened to be at, asked a question. Their director of communications was there. She liked the question that he asked, and she went, hey, you want to come do work for us? That's it. That's lit. That's how it all lined up. And now he's doing obviously basketball and football at Michigan State from time to time. I don't think he's the main guy. I think he's a fill-in guy. But yeah, that's the biggest part of it. So you just got to put yourself in the right spots, and you got to get past that level of discomfort to do that. That's the hardest part, I think, for a lot of people, especially who are new to all this, to make that a reality. But yeah, obviously those things build off of each other, and good things that happen to you are good things that happen to me and us in turn. It's the same way with Dan that I work at the at the Dan Hasty doing the baseball. I mean, he, if something good happens to him, chances are something good's going to happen to me along the line too. So it's yeah, that's what I said. That's why I'm saying no hard feelings, because all of it's worked out to actually be something pretty cool. And then now obviously we're adding UDM to the mix. It's only going to get better from here. So
it was
that's
funny.
that's
I remember
cool.
because I joke, because Neil obviously is in our studio quite a bit because of our affiliation with Oakland and obviously some things he does. And I always joke around, man, like, can't wait till you leave, my guy. It's like, it's like, can't wait till you, because maybe they'll come knock on my door and be like, hey, do you want to do that? Yeah, of course I would like to do that job, right? So then it just becomes, it's just fun. It's funny, right? We all joke around, and I'm sure on some level with you and Dan at the Whitecaps, kind of like, hey, come on, Dan,
No, yeah, definitely. Yep.
Get out of here, Dan. Get out of here.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Oh,
go be great.
Anyways, here's what we're going to do. We're going to step aside here. Our last commercial, come back. We'll dive into some mailbag. I know that Ryan has been having some fun here, really doing some clickbait here recently. One guy literally had to say, I have to put my phone down and walk away. I thought that was funny. So we'll dive into some of the mailbag questions here. You're watching number 164 here of Inside the Game.
Are you ready to create unforgettable moments for your audience? NSN offers professional live streaming and full broadcast services tailored to your needs. From high-quality production to exceptional coverage, we ensure your game or event becomes a spectacle to remember. Book your next game with us today. Call 586-304-4405 to schedule your broadcast and let NSN bring the action to life like never before.
Welcome back here this morning on Inside the Game, number 164. Again, we were talking yesterday, Ryan and I, and last week about what number 200 would look like here. And again, we are scheduled to have number 200 here sometime in the middle of November. And so we are excited about that. And I think we'll turn that one into a longer show. And have some fun with that one, but we're looking forward to number 200. I mean, I still have to kind of pinch myself a little bit, Nate, to think about this. But we've done 163 3/4 shows here this season. Now, granted, me and you have both not been a part of all those shows. I mean, I've had to take a break, or you've had to take a break. But 164 shows. We'll be at 165 tomorrow.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, and it's also crazy to think what it's turned into as well. I mean, the first 10 to 15 episodes, I think, was me in a studio that was under construction. So I'm like building stuff, and I don't have the podcast light. I don't have any of the fancy equipment. I just have a simple plug-in mic, and you and I are just trying to figure this out. I mean, we're getting 5-10 views. Our social media stuff's not doing much. But we just continue to plug away, and I like endurance is something that is the most important when it comes to podcasting or live shows, and that's what people forget when they want to get into this and they want to do something like this. They think, oh, okay, yeah, I just set it up, I talk, whatever. I talk every day anyways. No. If you want to do it the right way, it takes a little bit extra sometimes, and so everybody in one way or another has done their little bit extra in order to make this what it is now, to where we can bring on coaches, to where we can continue to do shows every day. I always say thank you to Ryan for what he does, because he's been the best number 3 that we could ask for. I'm not trying to blow sunshine up everybody's what, But I'm just saying, it takes a little bit extra in order to get to as many episodes as we are now. But to get to 200 would be a massive milestone for us. And I mean, I loved what Kevin Boyd said at the end of our interview, because he said that he's going to come back and he would love to actually continue watching our show. Like, that's the entire point of why we're doing this. So if we just gained 1 follower today, we're doing the right thing.
No question about that. Ryan, man, what do you got for us here on today's edition of the Mailbag?
I'm going to stick with the MLS's Retirement League TikTok comment section, which if you have not followed us, make sure you follow us on National Soccer Network on TikTok. But Nate, I don't know how much you've been missing, but we've had a lot of comments on...
I've been following at least. I've been looking at your
this one comes from Sea-Dog. MLS fans that can't see the issues with their league. I don't know what to tell you. There's clearly a quality issue in MLS that's hurting the entertainment value, but a lot of MLS fans ignore this. People quoting, this means nothing. They take things like attendance and money evaluations to decide their rankings. If you're being honest about where MLS ranks in the world, you need to put it behind the championship in England. No MLS team is going to win a season in any European league. That's from Sea-Dog 15.
No MLS team will win the league?
Yes.
In the championship?
Yes.
Yeah, I would, I mean... I think middle of the pack. I think that the best that
I would
MLS
agree.
team would do would be middle of the pack. Because again, I would argue that the best team right now is with the Philadelphia Union. That's the best team in probably all of Major League Soccer, even though they've lost a couple in the last couple of games. I would think they would do middle of the pack. In that league, and that's what considered what, third division?
Second.
Yeah.
Is it considered second?
It's the second division. It's not considered. It is the second division.
Yeah. Sorry. Maybe they finished towards the bottom of the pack in the second division. I'm thinking it was third division. So
yeah, League One is the third division. That's not confusing whatsoever.
Not at all. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. What else you got?
Come
on.
This one comes from Aaron Goings. Just a retirement league. Plenty of young international players here as well, and not all these older European players do so well here. Son and Mueller could have easily still played on other teams in Europe, but chose to play here. And the only example we have of MLS teams versus European teams is actual competitions in the recent Club World Cup. The 3 MLS teams held their own and were not blown off the field as your assertions would apply.
And that's the hard part. We don't see MLS playing big European squads routinely. I mean, we might see it in a one-off. We might see it in something like the Club World Cup, which obviously gave us an idea. And Miami was competitive in a lot of the matches they played in, but we don't see that routinely. So we really have no way of knowing. We know because we understand that obviously where the hotbed is and what the top leagues are. And I would agree with the last guy. Like that last comment, 100%. I don't think MLS team would ever win the Champions League. Like maybe top 5, and maybe they would finish somewhere in there. But I don't ever see them. I don't ever see that as a reality. But we just don't see enough of that. We don't see enough of big European squads playing MLS squads. We have examples of it, but not enough to really give us a sample size to really come to any conclusion.
This is the last one before we get into question of the day. But I think this one is really interesting because I feel like either I am way too young for this or this just never happened. This is from Jerry. LOL, you're so young. It started with Pele, Beckenbauer, and Chinaglia in the 1970s. Every world-class superstar was going to help the MLS. Never happens. When Messi leaves, a circle will be complete. Nobody can save the MLS. Am I mistaken? Like, did Pele play in the MLS or something?
No.
Okay,
no,
that's what I thought. I was just curious.
No, that was back in the old, I don't know if it was like the NASL or there was obviously before the MLS. He did play for the New York Comets.
Really?
Yeah, he did play here in the United States domestically in a professional league. I want to say it was the North American Soccer League. And the Comets, I believe, is the team he played for. And so, but it's crazy how it always seems to be like right at 9:55 there. It's like that's our cue for question of the day.
He did play for the New York Cosmos. And the NASL, 1975. Man, Pele played here. Okay.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
But again, at the tail end of his career.
Yeah, that's 75. He had to have been what? Like he won the World Cup in like the 50s. So he had to have been like 30 plus, 35 plus.
Yeah. So again, when we said this yesterday, if you don't want to call it the retirement league, that's fine. You can call it maybe the senior home then. I mean,
Just
right?
call it
This
the-
is-
yeah,
I mean, you can call it. You can
It's
call it
the
whatever
minor
you want.
leagues.
I mean,
It's the
again,
minor leagues.
we will know when the MLS is not a place where players come to finish out their career. When they come here in the middle of their career, they come here. Hey, after a couple of years, they choose even not to go over to Europe. They're like, this is the great place for me to be. And so, will that happen? Yeah, probably. It'll probably happen in 10 years. Probably happen in 12, 15 years. Could it happen tomorrow? No, I don't see Pulisic coming back here. But again, if Pulisic has a great World Cup and money is there, I would actually see it more likely that he would come home then. If he does well and fares well in the World Cup. We keep talking about him being maybe the possible GOAT. And while
I got some good comments for that one
and we still
tomorrow.
have obviously, two other players who right now are in that conversation, or at least somewhere in that conversation. It's what he's going to do during the World Cup this year that will either solidify him moving forward or him staying where he's currently at. And so this World Cup is extremely important. Question of the day.
Question of the day. This is going to be an interesting one. But before we do that, Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at National Soccer Network, and I didn't change the typo on it. God damn. So use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off.
He says it out loud. I think it was great.
saltathletic.com today, or scan that QR code. Let me see if I got it right. Let me bring this one back in. Maybe that's the right one. Nope, I still spelled it wrong. God dang it.
All right. Well, let's go with the typo. I think we should show it. Let's go ahead.
All right, but this one is not soccer related. It's other football related. Question of the day. Has your confidence with the Detroit Lions gone up with that win last night against the Baltimore Ravens? And I said,
I'm assuming that's supposed to be is your confidence. Okay, yeah.
I was going to say has.
Yeah, it was that's a statement. That's a statement, boys and girls. They needed that win bad, especially after opening up against the Packers the way that they did. Obviously, a good bounce back win in week 2, but I mean, I wasn't going to read too far into that simply because of the team that they're playing. I still think the Bears are in a state of disarray right now.
But
They might have played well this
The Bears
Sunday.
beat the Cowboys.
They suck.
And I'm not saying the Cowboys are.
But the Cowboys are.
I know, but
defensively, they're handicapped. They're not who they used to be. Now, the Cowboys are not a threat either. No, but
the real question
anyways,
is how long until Mike McCarthy's fired? Will it be game 5? Will it be game 9? Like where will he get fired?
I don't know. We'll see how it progresses. But anyways, to complete that point, the Ravens were their first major test of the year. Obviously, the Pack are okay, but they actually brought in, I forget who it was, a wide receiver, signed him free agent just to come into practice to basically be Lamar Jackson.
Cunningham. Zach Cunningham, I believe.
Zach Cunningham. Yeah, got him to come in and essentially be Lamar Jackson in practice because that's the kind of guy you're going up against. So they were going to lean on this Lions defense. Hutch came through. They forced turnovers. They did what they needed to do. My confidence level is back to a respectable height at the moment.
Yeah, I would say so. First off, I fell asleep at halftime, so I didn't get a chance to watch the second half. But to be fair and to be 100% honest, the Lions have always struggled with mobile quarterbacks.
I think any team, you can say that about any team.
No, but I think specifically the Lions have really struggled when it's come to mobile quarterbacks. We've seen it with Jalen Hurts. We saw it last year, with the Commanders. I mean, you see these mobile quarterbacks, and we just really, really struggle to defend. And again, I think the mindset that the Detroit Pistons had back in 2004, where they're like, hey, we just need to let the other 3 not score, right? We know that Shaq and Kobe are going to score some points, but we need the other 3 to not score any. So we're going to focus on them. And so, what? You remember that quote?
No, who said that?
No, that was one of the quotes they talked about in regards to that Lakers and the Detroit Pistons about how Kobe can score a million points. It doesn't matter. We need to stop everybody else, is what their focus was. But anyways, my perspective on this is that yes, I think our confidence.
The exact quote was from Lindsey Hunter. We didn't want to double team Shaq and allow everyone else to get their game off. So I guess it's kind of
okay. Oh, okay. All right. That okay. Anyways,
Something
as you
similar.
were.
Anyways, I'm glad that Ryan pulls that out. It's funny how he researches my quotes, but he doesn't research your quotes. What the heck is that? Oh, his own quotes. I mean, like he can't even spell is and as right. Before
It was
He's
supposed to be
very
has.
wise.
It's supposed to be has with an H.
Oh boy. Anyways, my confidence is much higher now. Obviously, what happens moving forward very important. The Lions just need to continue to do what they do, which is go out there and score points. And to score 38 points against that defense also is impressive. And so that's especially when they said they were 20-6 in those uniforms at home. Were the Ravens. So they had that. Now they're 20-7. And then the last time they said they were undefeated on Monday Night Football over the last number of years as well. So we were able to do, I think, a couple things last night, which I think the Lions of old, 3 years ago, Lions wouldn't have beat this team. I would argue last year's team wouldn't have beat this team.
No, I think last year's team will still beat them. Depends on what part of the season you're talking about.
Exactly.
But
Yeah, at this point, we would have.
That's also fair. But that does wrap up here our episode number 164 here on this Tuesday. I'm going to be back at it again tomorrow, same time, same place. We are going to be joined again by another coach tomorrow here on the program.
I'll pull it back up.
We'll have Ryan put it back up on your screen. There he is, Sean Berg from Buffalo Women's Soccer. They call them home the MAC. Actually, we'll have two MAC teams here this week join us. Right, Ball State's also in the MAC, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yes, they are.
So we'll have two MAC. Yep, right back and forth. So that's gonna be a good little conversation here tomorrow. So we're excited about that. But for Ryan Galinsky and that's Nate Wangler, I'm Jonathan Turner. We're happy that you stopped on by here today. Don't forget to like us and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Thanks, Ryan. We are done now here on this Tuesday morning. But have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time here on Inside the Game. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.